Welcome to Deep Thought. Do you know your frequency? Do you know your frequency? What do I mean by frequency? What kind of energy do you give off? Now, I know this sounds like it's getting into some deep esoteric stuff and metaphysical stuff. And in one way it could be, but think about it another way. I want you to think about it another way. When people see you, what kind of vibe do they get? What kind of thoughts do they have? When they see you, do they see you as a thug? Do they see you as uneducated? Do they see you as highly confident? Do they see you as competent? Do they see you as someone who look like they will succeed in life? Or do you look like somebody who will be a perpetual loser? Do they see you as someone who will always find a solution to a problem? Or do they see you as somebody who will always complain? How do you walk? When you're out and about, do you smile? What do you give off? Like they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's the same thing with a person's frequency, their aura. How does your very presence make a person feel? I think that's the best way to look at it. Because I know everybody, like I always say, I respect everyone's spiritual beliefs, regardless, even if I disagree with them and everything. Which means I gotta respect the great pumpkin. Anyway, right? But what is your frequency? Do you know your frequency? Do you have an idea how you make people feel? Because it's important on many levels. One, just that feeling thing. When people see you, when they're around you, or do they feel comfortable? Or do they feel fear? Do they feel a sense of pity? Do they feel respect for you? What kind of frequency you give off? What kind of frequency? And in fact, I couldn't even call it just metaphysical. You get some people in maybe lower income environments. They'll talk about that. They tend to be more on that energy thing anyway. They'll be like, what kind of vibe they giving off? In fact, women will say that when they're talking about man. They'll say what kind of vibe he giving off, or they say, nah, this is what you giving me. But do you know it on any level? When someone first meets you, what do they feel? Do they feel like, oh, okay, this is somebody know what they're doing, or do they feel like this person is just lousy, they just here? All of it is very important. And do you know it? Because your frequency isn't even so much how you are affecting people. That's part of it, but it's also who you drawing to you. See, your frequency actually draws people to you. It's that magnetism. And what type of if you're going through life, you need to be around people on a similar frequency. You know what? I always talk about tribe and everything on my main channel, my main men's channel, and I've mentioned it on my woman's channel. But a tribe goes beyond who you have sex with. It goes way beyond that. It's the people that you truly can be around and you totally feel comfortable. And it goes beyond, like on one level, it goes along. It's about the people that you share the same values as you. And it goes beyond people who it goes beyond people that you could even call a friend, people you could laugh with. It's like it's a feeling. It's like you comfortable with them. It's like you on the same page, but on a deeper level than a conscious communication level. Remember, communication in a verbal sense is only about 10% of communication. When you have two people in the room together, they still communicating with each other, even if nothing is said. Even if it's nothing is said. In fact, if you attune to it, if you go in a crowd full of people, all you have to do is sit back and see who's communicating what to a person. Their body language and everything. What is being communicated? What is being communicated? Very important. So, do you know your frequency? Do you know why you if you're a lady listening, do you know why you keep attracting dusties? Because that's a frequency you giving off. You broadcasting that. Like I remember a young lady I met a couple decades ago, and she said, I must have something on my show, She must have something on her forehead that says loser. I keep drawing all these losers. And I was blunter back then, but she was also a customer, so I had to give some customer service. I couldn't just blatantly just tell her. But my first thought was, you giving off that frequency. You giving off that frequency for a loser to try to get with you. I remember another woman, she couldn't figure out why she would get these guys. She would get these guys, and all they wanted from her was sex. But she gave off the frequency she gave off was that's all she would be good for. Because she had a fat ass. She had a body, but I'm going to tell you what, let's put it like this. I met her. It was a situation I met her and stuff. It was at this poetry. It was at this bookstore that would have poetry events. And I kept talking with her, and she kind of came off at first as kind of obnoxious. Very obnoxious. And I kept looking at her. I kept saying, what it was. And she kept saying stuff like, I don't know why these guys just want to have sex with me and everything. And I remember it, but she was real obnoxious, though. And she gave that feeling like you wouldn't want to deal with her otherwise. But somebody would still deal with her because she had a fat ass. She did. She did. In fact, I was sitting there having a conversation with her, and I didn't even ask for a number. She wrote out her name and address for me. And probably could have had sex with her. But that's all I would have did. But then I said it was just her attitude and everything. Oh, and in fact, I couldn't figure out who she looks like until I looked at her one time. And I said, oh, I know who she reminded me of. Y'all remember that show in Living Color and Jamie Foxx used to play Ugly Wanda? She looked just like that. Funny thing is, I wouldn't have thought about that, but the frequency, the broadcast she was giving off. And that's the guy she was drawing. Like when you draw people to you, part of it isn't just what you have on the surface, but it's your frequency. Like I tend to draw people who are very helpful and just male and female who are just trying to move up in life. Trying to move up in life. In fact, I've had some gentlemen I've done business with, and they say, they were just like, yeah, Rom, I like your vibe and stuff. But that was my frequency. Like if you having trouble in life, what's your frequency? You keep meeting some knuckleheads, what's your frequency? You keep getting into negative situations, what is your frequency? Do you know your frequency? What are you giving off through your actions, your body language, your aura? When somebody sees you, what do they feel? Not what they think. Like I said, this goes beyond conscious thought. You just feel something, Like this dude who used to be a former drug dealer. He did a poem and he was talking about some dude he was in business with. And he said, it just was something off with his aura, but I kept going anyway. But do you know your frequency? It's very important. I mentioned this video, this podcast in conjunction to something I did on my business channel talking about target demographics. Because I was thinking about that business-wise. The people who tend to support my work and vibe with my work is because we have similar frequencies, maybe even on the same frequency. That's how powerful it is. So it's more than just meeting a mate. It's meeting a mate, meeting friendships, your tribe, your subculture, your group. And the thing is, there's thousands of frequencies. Maybe one day we'll evolve to the point we can actually recognize that and it'll be a part of mainstream knowledge. But that's the thing. That's the thing. And sometimes if you're astute at it, you can even see the frequencies. And when I say see, I'm like, you can take a look and say, okay, this group is on this frequency. This area is on nothing. I knew someone who was kind of sensitive to all of that. And I remember when he had visited me when I was living in Edgewood, Maryland, and he said he could tell a different frequency as he got closer to my home and stuff. And there is some deeper metaphysics to it. There's some deeper metaphysics because ultimately everything is energy. But pay attention to that. That's some serious stuff. All right? But the thing is, it comes down, do you know what frequency you're giving off? Do you know your frequency? That's the important thing. It can explain your success in life, but it can also explain the failures that you've been facing and the people that you're drawing around you. But here's the thing with it. If once you know your frequency, you can always change it. I want y'all to really think about that part. you can change it. All right. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I want y'all to really think about it. Peace and blessings, everyone.